Hello my friends and welcome to Bryansk. I think that's how you pronounce that, Bryansk. It's apparently it's gonna rain next turn, and I'm sure it's gonna rain a lot more than next turn because old Gubbins McWhat's-his-face said, leave your planes at home. Which may or may not be the right move. But I'm just going to choose to believe that it's the right move. So, if we're going to leave our planes at home, that means that we need our heroes. And frankly, I wouldn't mind leaving my planes at home for this mission. In fact, let's unassign Galland as well while we're at it. Let's just unassign them all. And of course we have our strategic bombers, whose lethal attack can be filed away for a rainy day. Now, what if the Russians have aircraft and it turns out in the end that there is an air presence? Because there is an airfield back here in this reinforcement zone, and there is also a major airfield here, and indeed here. Well, that is going to be a problem, but we have an answer to that problem. Well, before we discuss that problem, let's get rid of the boat pioneers because they're not really necessary for this mission. Although there is a river here, there's like a bridge here, a bridge here, a bridge here, bridge down here, and bridges up here. So I don't think we're really going to have any trouble crossing the river, especially if we assign 3 combat groups and send them one along the top, one down the middle, and one along the bottom. But I'm getting ahead of myself here, so let's put them away. They're more of my space holders. We don't need to hold space in this mission, so away they go. Okay. Yes, so what if the enemy has aircraft in the end? Well, I think it is finally time to bring our old friend back. Wow, check out the medals on this bad boy. Oh, I must have converted this from a tank. A tank that saw a lot of killing. So, obviously we have various choices here, none of them good. So we're going to go with the old 8.8. Strengthen it up. Pop it in our team. And what I'm going to put on it is pure pain for my enemy. It's going to be lethal attack, so that the hits really hurt. I'm almost tempted for rapid, for a fast deployment so I can keep it up with the front line, but to be fair, fast deployment just means that you can deploy and then attack. But with anti-aircraft guns that really doesn't matter because all you want to do is actually just deploy. Then the protection is granted by the fact that you deployed. So we'll put camouflage on the bad boy because the AI is just going to love that. And what we can also do is put, I mean, whatever we like on it, really. All of these would be valuable. Rapid fire 1.5x would make it way more deadly against enemy aircraft, of course. And also against enemy tanks if we ever put it in anti-tank mode. Which we will for all turns where it's raining. Readiness will protect it from being sniped, which is kind of useful because she's kind of a fragile bird. But then again, camouflage will also hide it from the enemy, so it might be quite difficult to destroy anyway. And of course, cheap replacements. This is actually really good for this unit. In fact, we'll go with that because she is an expensive beast. I think the anti-aircraft gun, the 8.8, is probably one of the game's most pricey units. Okay. Now, of course, we have a potential 3 fronts. And that means that we need 3 artillery pieces. So it's time to fold our artillery back into the fold. I have plenty of artillery with not huge experience, but great stats. Let's fold the Stug in, because why not? We'll run it at standard strength. Let's mark this. Let's mark this with the same beige color that we use for all support units, for all proper support units, i.e. ones that have artillery support. Now, obviously, to make this push successful, we're also going to need an additional infantry unit. We once again have plenty to choose from. These guys could do with a little bit more experience. Although they are pretty close to maxed out on awards. Yeah, let's go with them as well. Since I'm already running a weaker unit that needs leveling. Let's cut Ignores Entrenchment off this and let's put Learns from Mistakes, because I'm going to put Ignores Entrenchment on this to help me clear things. Or should I? Or should I? Because speaking of which, I'm actually... Yeah, Okay, let's take the weaker one. And actually make it really deadly. Ignores entrenchment. No retaliation. Let's stick this on here as well. He would be good with actually hit and run, but I think I've got hit and run pretty much on other things right now. In fact, we should unassign hit and run from this and assign it to this, because hit and run will be effective on this thanks to the initiative bonus. And I would prefer to have no retaliation on this, so it can carry on killing everything for me. Okay, so with that done, we can then put first aid on this. I guess we can toughen it up with prudence, why not? And unyielding, this is a relatively tough unit and doesn't need much help. Okay, the general point here is that we're going to have an engineering team that's going down the middle. I'll put it here for now. One team that's going to push the bottom, which this is pretty close to the city here, so I think we'll be in combat pretty much straight away. Maybe we'll put these guys so they can get the most experience, and then one up here. Then, obviously, the side teams will be supported by the light anti-aircraft guns just in case. with the center team being supported by the heavy anti-aircraft gun. Each team should have its own reconnaissance unit, which means I actually need another reconnaissance unit, so we'll just grab this one. Whether there's anything we really want to assign to it, I suppose we can put river salt, like unyielding and I don't know, no surrender, something along those lines. One recon team for you, one recon team for you, and one recon team for you. Then side teams, of course, will also require artillery support. The center team, of course, will not have 15 centimeter. It'll have 21, which will be used to siege the city. So they will additionally require the support of some of these artillery tanks. Now, before I deploy the artillery tanks, or I should say, before I deploy this artillery, there is a consideration as to what I put my last lethal hero on, since we're not using strat bombers at the moment. And whether I want to make this potentially lethal might be an idea. Or one of my anti-aircraft guns. Yeah, sure, why not? We also have two readiness heroes and the rapid fire hero. I mean, if we're going lethal, we might as well go rapid fire as well. The only issue with this is that this artillery piece will not, without fast deployment, it's not going to actually be able to fire until it actually gets into position. Let's just leave lethal attack on it now, because we got nowhere better for it to be. Okay, so now that leaves tank distribution and distribution of other bits and pieces. We also have two readiness heroes who could be best utilized making tanks, incredibly difficult to kill. Now, we already have readiness and no retaliation on this monster. Hit and run with the hero on this one. This flame tank is actually made relatively weak by these heroes. The question is whether readiness would be helpful here. Particularly helpful in keeping this alive. Actually, let's put entrenchment killer on it. That'll help it break some things for me. Okay, alright. So, in order to support the side pushes, we're going to have one surrender tank on the bottom team and one surrender tank on the top team as the primary source of making surrenders. Center team is going to enjoy the two artillery tanks, plus probably everything else. I'm not quite sure what to do with Stewie because he's just very slow, and we have quite a lot of distance to cover in the rain here, which might mean that he is less useful than he should be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, he's so difficult to kill. It does make him worth utilizing. Okay, now that leaves us with quite a few points left to spend. Isn't our favorite bad boy sadly getting very weak now? Great initiative and speed and such, but this gift tank is as you can see, basically outclassed by the Panzer 3J. Although obviously it's much cheaper slot-wise. And compared to the Russian T-3440, it has it totally beaten in every category except slot cost. Which, for a standard size, is just the difference between between 3 and 4 slots. So a little bit of a shame that this tank is starting to very much become obsolete. Although, you know, it does only cost 2 slots at a flat rate. Anyway, I'm digressing from the point here. We should add some additional tanks to bulk out the side forces. Obviously, we've got the 3J, which is the new hotness, except it's only ever so slightly better than the 3H. So, of course, we will be doling out more of Motherland's most awesome killing machines, which we have stolen enough of to sink a ship. Now, obviously these tanks are going to struggle since they're somewhat lower on experience than standard, so we'll use readiness to protect them both. And I guess we can put learns from mistakes on one and maybe exterminator on the other, because I got nothing better to really do with them. Okay, let's drop one down here and one up here. Okay, so now we've got infantry, recon, air, artillery, and 2 tanks for each area, plus the main thrust in the middle. That leaves us with 4 slots. And for those 4 slots, I'm going to engage in the egregious sin of boosting up these, that they might better barbecue my enemies. I deliberately have not overstrengthened the surrender tanks because you don't want them to do tons of damage. Obviously, the more damage they do, the less units you're going to get when the enemy surrenders. I think what we'll do is we'll put first strike and rapid fire on this. So it gives me a second pretty lethal artillery to go with the already very lethal 21cm gun, which enjoys double attack. Let me tell you that if you put double attack, rapid fire 1.5x, and lethal on this thing, it will just delete things, but you then have to pay the slot cost for it. And we are going to just slightly spice these up, just to give me a little bit more stopping power. Okay, so we got 3 combat groups, with a little bit of everything for this group to go down the middle. The main group to push up to the center and then push down the center, and the small group here to push down this road. So in theory, we'll end up with an army here, here, and here, and then we can make the decision as to how we're going to push into this protected and entrenched area. The main objective is to capture victory hexes, so we want to make sure that we do that last. Also, I'm running the recon bikes because if you look at this terrain, there's plenty of forest tiles around with which to hide them. And as you get to the actual bit where you're attacking, we've got the city, which is close combat, we've got hills down here, which is close combat, we've got hills up here, which is close combat, so additional close combat capability will be very useful. Plus, I'm not sure how badly their mobility is impacted by poor terrain, but I don't think it's that badly. Wow. That's bad. 3 for a clear tile, so they can only move 3 tiles. 2 spaces. Okay, wheeled units are going to have a really bad time in this ground state. What if we switch to all-terrain? Which I'll probably have to over-strengthen. It's a little bit better. It's a lot better. It's, it's 2 instead of 3. That's 4 spaces instead of 2. Okay, alright, well. We've suddenly found out that the ground state is really bad. Alright, let's do ourselves a favor. Let's do ourselves a favor and let's fix these. This is the artillery one, and it's more important that it's outsized than this one. I'll claim back my slot here. Alright, good thing that we double check the ground state, because these recon bikes are actually just going to get murdered in this terrain. Okay, much better. Now, one thing that I didn't do actually was have a look to see if there's any more units. I just noticed that there's a new anti-tank gun there, but I doubt it's of any utility. Not bad stats. Not bad hard attack, really. However, ground defense is pretty poor. It's quite nice that it only costs 2 slots, but the vastly superior 8.8 is actually only 3 slots. Kind of funny how anti-aircraft guns are, in true World War II fashion, just better. Oh, it's 24. Yeah, actually, it's not. This is not bad. Obviously, compared to Stewie, though, it's garbage. And I doubt there's anything else worth touching. Oh, right, I think we're good. Yes, so the ground state here is really poor. Fortunately, I've got Master of Blitzkrieg. Tank movement is reasonable on this terrain. Still, at a cost of 2 movement points per tile, even moving on clear terrain is going to be slow. Meaning that maintaining a solid pace is going to be very hard. Remember, I'm pretty sure I checked the pace with you guys last time, but I believe the pace is something like 1.5. Still, there are roads, including this major one down the middle, so that should hopefully help speed things up. Okay, and that's it for deployment. So we got 2 little side combat groups, which are just going to clear the push up to the river here, and push up to the river here, clearing everything in their path, if there is anything to clear. I mean, these parts of the map could be relatively undefended. I highly doubt it, since that there's an objective hex there. But considering that this belongs to us, this whole section might be completely empty, in which case this combat group could be right up there in record-breaking time. Meanwhile, the main combat group will attack whatever's defending this, and I mean, it's a critical objective hex, so there must be something defending it, and then push right down the center, straight into the heart of the objective. And then it's just a matter of bringing this group into position, this group into position, and this group into the center to just clear away whatever it is that we find. That is the general strategy. I'm going to presume that there's nothing behind me. Pretty safe assumption in this game. There is a town here right in the middle, which is not really on the path of any of my combat groups. So I might divert something to go over there and check it out. Potentially the scout car. Because it might not be necessary. If this area is clear, which is what these cities seem to indicate, we might be able to just take a little detour to go down here and get this and then go back up. Or just go across and then double back on ourselves. I don't like double backing on myself as a strategy, on the grounds that doubling back on yourself means that you could have enemies that slip past and get behind you, and that's just a nightmare to deal with. Okay, that is it for deployment. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Left my Air Force at home. I hope that that is not a mistake, but we're following the advice that the game is giving me. So, but even if it's the case that they do end up with aircraft, this camouflaged monster is going to very much help me delete them, because the AI will see these targets as being undefended unless this is specifically revealed. So they'll fly in, they'll attack, and realize too late that they're going to be shot at. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.